It was just another morning in Los Angeles, until a white Tesla stopped beside a broken-down car. Inside was Elon Musk himself. What happened next didn't just change one family's life, it changed everything. Stay tuned till the end, because you won't believe how this story ends. And hey, before we begin, hit that like button and subscribe for more real, heart-touching stories that will inspire you today. It started as an ordinary morning in Los Angeles, the sun rising slowly over the horizon, painting the sky with streaks of gold and orange. The air buzzed with energy, as it always did in the city of dreams. Cars honked impatiently at red lights. Street vendors opened their stalls, and the smell of coffee drifted through the cool morning air. It was a day like any other, or at least, that's how it began. But for one family on a quiet side street, fate had something very different planned. Not too far away, Elon Musk sat behind the wheel of a white Tesla Model X. He was alone, no security team, no assistants, no flashing cameras. Just him, a steaming cup of coffee, and the soft hum of the Tesla's engine as he tested a new autopilot update. To Elon, moments like this were rare, a brief break from the chaos of meetings, launches, and deadlines. He loved driving quietly, letting the world pass by while his mind raced with ideas for the future. But that morning, his focus wasn't on technology or innovation. It was about to be pulled towards something much more human. As he approached an old gas station on the outskirts of downtown, something unusual caught his eye. A car, an old, beat-up sedan, sat by the curb, its hood wide open. Smoke drifted lazily into the air, shimmering under the sunlight. Beside it, a man knelt with a wrench in his hand, sweat dripping from his forehead as he worked desperately on the engine. A woman sat nearby on the curb, gently fanning two small children with a piece of torn cardboard. The kids looked tired and thirsty, their shoes worn, their faces streaked with dust. Something about that scene made Elon slow down. Maybe it was the look of quiet frustration on the man's face. Maybe it was the way the woman tried to smile at her kids, even though exhaustion was written all over her. Whatever it was, Elon couldn't just drive past. He pulled over, parked the Tesla, and stepped out. "Hey there," he called out, his voice calm and warm. "Do you folks need a hand?" The man looked up, startled. His hands were greasy, his clothes stained, but his eyes were kind and tired. Yeah," he said after a moment. "The engine's dead. I've been trying to fix it since sunrise." As he spoke, his eyes suddenly widened. Recognition flashed across his face. "Wait a minute, are you?" Elon smiled faintly and waved it off. "Yeah," he said, "but right now, I'm just a guy trying to help." The man laughed softly, almost in disbelief. "Well, I'll take all the help I can get," he said. "I'm Marcus, by the way. This is my wife, Felicia. And these two little troublemakers are Jaden and Maya." Elon crouched beside the car, peering under the hood. "Mind if I take a look?" Marcus stepped back, wiping his hands on an old rag. "Be my guest. I've tried everything." The smell of burnt oil and engine smoke filled the air. Elon leaned in, his brow furrowing as he examined the worn-out parts. "Looks like your radiator's blown," he said. "You've been driving this a long time." Marcus nodded. "Yeah, almost 10 years. It's all we've got. I was hoping it'd last a little longer." As Elon tinkered, he asked gently, "Where were you headed?" Marcus sighed, glancing toward his wife and kids. "Alicia was supposed to work a double shift at the diner today. I was going to drop her off, then take the kids to school. But the car gave out again. I guess it's just one of those days." Elon nodded, his hands still busy checking the wires. "Tough week." Marcus chuckled bitterly. "Tough year, actually." He paused, then continued. "I lost my job about 6 months ago. The garage I worked for shut down. Been doing odd jobs since then, fixing bikes, changing tires, anything I can. But it's not enough. We've been barely keeping up with rent. This car," he looked at it with a mix of frustration and sadness. "This car is all we've got left." Elon didn't interrupt. He listened, really listened. He saw the way Alicia rubbed her kids' backs, whispering soft reassurances. He noticed the way Marcus avoided meeting his wife's eyes, ashamed that he couldn't do more. It wasn't just a broken car. It was a family holding on by a thread. After a moment, Elon stood up and wiped his hands. "You've been through a lot," he said quietly. Marcus gave a tired laugh. "Yeah, you could say that. But we keep going. What else can you do?" Elon looked at the kids. Jaden was tracing shapes in the dust with a stick, and Maya was humming softly, swinging her legs. Despite everything, they still found ways to smile. Something inside Elon stirred. He'd spent years building machines that could change the world. But right now, standing in front of the struggling family, he realized that sometimes changing one life could mean just as much. He turned back to Marcus. "You know," Elon said thoughtfully, "I've built rockets that can reach Mars, but I can't stand seeing people stuck on Earth, especially when they're trying their best." Marcus smiled faintly, unsure how to respond. Elon looked back at the smoking car, and then at the Tesla parked behind him. "Let's do this," he said. "I'll have one of my guys come tow your car. We'll get it checked at a Tesla service center. No charge." Marcus blinked. "Wait, what?" "Sir, you don't have to." Elon interrupted with a small grin. "I know, but I want to." Alicia's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered. "You don't know what this means to us." Elon gave a small nod. "Maybe I do," he said softly. Just then, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, a reminder for his next meeting. But for once, he didn't care. He stayed right there, talking with them, asking about their lives, their dreams, their kids' school. The Tesla roadside team was already on its way. But Elon didn't leave. He didn't have to, because in that moment, surrounded by strangers who were just trying to survive, Elon Musk wasn't a billionaire inventor or the CEO of multiple companies. He was just a man, one human being, helping another. And for Marcus and his family, that was the beginning of something they'd never forget. Elon sat quietly on the curb beside Marcus, his once crisp white shirt now smudged with oil and grease. The air around them smelled faintly of gasoline and hot asphalt. The Tesla roadside team had already been called, but Elon didn't move. He wasn't there as a billionaire CEO that morning. He was there as a man listening to another man's story. Marcus stared down at his hands, blackened with years of labor and calloused from fixing other people's cars for almost nothing. His voice was steady but heavy. "I used to be a full-time mechanic," he said, eyes fixed on the cracked pavement. "Worked for a small auto shop downtown. Then one day, the owner told us the place was shutting down. Said the business couldn't keep up with all these new electric cars." He gave a faint, bitter smile. "Funny thing, right? The world moves forward, and guys like me get left behind." Elon didn't interrupt. He simply nodded, listening closely. Marcus continued, his tone softening. "After that, I sent applications everywhere. Dealerships, garages, tire shops, you name it. But months passed, and nothing. I started doing street repairs, fixing neighbors' cars, just to get by. Sometimes, people paid me in cash. Sometimes just food." He stopped for a moment, his voice cracking slightly. "You know, there were nights I'd come home and tell Alicia that something big would come along, that I'd find something better. But after a while," he shrugged, "even hope starts to rust." Alicia sat quietly beside her children, listening with tears in her eyes. She finally spoke up. "I've been working at the diner down on 7th Street. Double shifts most days. The tips are okay, but everything we make goes straight to rent, food, and this old car." She smiled weakly. "It's falling apart, but it's all we've got." Elon looked at the children, Jaden and Maya, sitting close together on the curb. They were playing with a few small rocks, pretending they were toy cars. Despite everything, they were still smiling. There was something deeply humbling about that, about their quiet ability to find joy in the middle of struggle. Marcus sighed. "We were just trying to get the kids to school when it died again," he said, glancing at the car. "Feels like life just keeps breaking down, you know." Elon nodded slowly, the words hitting closer than Marcus could have imagined. "Yeah," he said softly. "I know that feeling." Marcus looked up, slightly puzzled. You're your Elon Musk." Elon chuckled quietly. "Yeah, but believe me, it wasn't always easy. I've had rockets explode, companies nearly go bankrupt, and nights where I slept in the office because I couldn't afford rent. He smiled faintly. Failure and we go way back. Marcus raised an eyebrow, surprised. You mean even with all that success, you still went through stuff like that? Of course, Elon said simply. Everyone who's ever built something meaningful has. The truth is, the hardest times build the strongest people. You just have to keep pushing, even when it feels pointless. There was a long pause. Marcus stared at the ground, thinking about those words. His hands, his exhaustion, his struggle, all of it suddenly felt seen. Then, Elon leaned forward, elbows on his knees, and said something that would change Marcus's life forever. Marcus, he began, how would you feel about working with Tesla? Not as a customer, but as part of the team. For a moment, Marcus didn't react. The word seemed too big to process. Wait, what? He asked finally, his voice barely a whisper. I mean it, Elon said, smiling. You've got experience. You've got passion. And most importantly, you've got the kind of drive that can't be taught. We'll train you properly, give you the skills you need. All you have to do is say yes. Marcus blinked rapidly, his hands shaking slightly. Sir, I don't know what to say. I don't even know if I'm qualified. I haven't touched an electric car in years. Elon smiled wider. You're more qualified than you think. You understand engines, you understand hard work, and you understand what it means to keep trying even when everything falls apart. Those are the kinds of people we need at Tesla. The world around them seemed to quiet down. Even the noise from the nearby road faded for a moment. Marcus looked at Alicia. Her hand covered her mouth, eyes glistening with tears. Jaden and Maya looked up, not quite understanding, but sensing that something big was happening. Say yes, Elon said simply, his voice calm but firm. We'll figure out the rest. Marcus stared at him, still in disbelief. His throat tightened. You're serious? You'd really give me a job? I'm not giving you anything, Elon said kindly. You've earned it. I'm just giving you a chance to prove it. Alicia let out a soft sob, covering her face. Thank you, she whispered. You have no idea what this means to us. Elon looked at her and said softly, You'd be surprised. I think I do. For a few moments, nobody spoke. Marcus reached out and shook Elon's hand, his strong, calloused palm meeting Elon's. It wasn't the handshake of a billionaire and a mechanic. It was the handshake of two people who understood what it meant to struggle, to fail, and to keep going anyway. By the time the Tesla roadside team arrived, the air around them felt lighter. The car was still broken, but something else had been repaired, hope. As the tow truck lifted the old sedan, Elon stood beside Marcus and said, My team will take care of your car, and I'll have someone from Tesla's HR contact you tomorrow. Don't worry about the details, just be ready. Marcus nodded, still overwhelmed. I will. Thank you, Mr. Musk. Elon smiled, shaking his head. It's Elon. And remember, this isn't charity. It's opportunity. You've already done the hard part. You survived. As he turned to leave, Alicia called out, God bless you. Elon smiled, waved gently, and got back into his Tesla. As the car pulled away, Marcus stood silently, his family beside him. For the first time in a long while, he didn't feel stuck. He felt alive. And that's when it hit him. Sometimes, miracles don't come from the sky. Sometimes, they pull over at the side of the road and ask if you need a hand. The next morning began quietly. The sun peeked over the rooftops, painting the neighborhood in soft gold. Birds chirped on the power lines, and the air smelled faintly of fresh dew. Inside a small apartment on the east side of Los Angeles, Marcus and his family were still half asleep, unaware that destiny was standing just outside their front door. Knock, knock. It was a gentle, polite tap, but it carried the weight of something extraordinary. Alicia was the first to stir. She pulled her robe tighter and peeked through the small curtain covering the front window. Her eyes widened instantly. Marcus, she whispered, her voice trembling. You need to see this. Marcus rubbed his eyes, still groggy. What is it? She turned to him, her voice barely above a whisper. It's Tesla people. That got his attention. He rushed to the door, heart pounding, and opened it, only to freeze in disbelief. Standing on the porch were two Tesla employees, both dressed neatly in black jackets with the signature silver T logo over their hearts. Behind them, sunlight reflected off the gleaming body of a brand-new white Tesla Model 3 parked in the driveway. Marcus blinked several times, convinced he must still be dreaming. This can't be real," he said, his voice trembling. The taller of the two Tesla team members smiled kindly and handed him a crisp white envelope. "Mr. Reed?" he asked. Marcus nodded, still speechless. "This is for you. Mr. Musk asked us to deliver it personally." Marcus hesitated for a second before carefully opening the envelope. Inside was a small, handwritten note on Tesla stationery. The writing was unmistakable, neat, simple, and signed with a name that carried power around the world. It read, "For the family who reminded me why we build. Elon." Marcus's breath caught in his throat. He could barely believe what he was reading. His hand shook as he unfolded the rest of the papers, and that's when he saw it. An official job offer. A formal contract from Tesla, naming him as a trainee technician in their Los Angeles service department. Full-time, full pay, full benefits, training included. It was everything he had been praying for, and more. Alicia gasped as she read over his shoulder, her hands flying to her mouth. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Marcus, it's real. It's actually real." The two Tesla employees exchanged warm smiles, clearly touched by the family's reaction. "Mr. Musk wanted to make sure you got this personally," one of them said. "And, of course, he wanted you to have this as well." He gestured toward the white Tesla parked behind them. The sun glinted off its sleek body, its glass roof shimmering like crystal. The kids, Jaden and Maya, ran outside barefoot, their laughter echoing through the quiet street. "Is that ours?" Jaden asked, eyes wide. The Tesla rep smiled. "It sure is. Fully charged and fully yours." For a moment, the entire world seemed to stop. Marcus dropped to his knees right there on the porch, his hands covering his face as tears began to stream down. Years of struggle, rejection, and exhaustion, all melting away in a single morning. He wasn't dreaming anymore. This was real. Alicia knelt beside him, wrapping her arms around his shoulders as she cried too. "You see, Marcus," she whispered through tears, "hope isn't lost. It never was." The Tesla team stayed just long enough to hand over the car keys and explain the paperwork. But they didn't linger. They knew this moment belonged to the family. When they finally drove off, Marcus and Alicia stood in silence for a long time, staring at the car. The kids ran around it, touching the smooth paint, giggling and shouting like it was Christmas morning. Alicia turned to Marcus, smiling through tears. "You said yesterday that you didn't know if you still had a purpose," she said softly. "Well, looks like you just found it." Marcus exhaled, overwhelmed. I don't even know how to thank him. How do you thank someone for giving you your life back?" That evening, as the golden sunset faded into twilight, Marcus's phone buzzed. The screen lit up with a number he didn't recognize, but the name made his heart skip. "Incoming call, Elon Musk." He hesitated for a moment, then quickly answered. "Hello, Marcus." Elon's familiar voice came through, calm and kind. "I just wanted to make sure you got everything okay." Marcus stood in the living room, staring at his family laughing by the window. "We did, sir. I don't even know what to say." "You don't owe me anything," Elon said simply. "Just keep believing in yourself. That's all I ask." Marcus swallowed hard, emotion thick in his voice. "Sir, you didn't just fix our car, you fixed our faith." There was a small pause. Then Elon chuckled softly. "That's the best kind of repair there is." The call ended, but Marcus stood there for several minutes, phone still in his hand, staring at the Tesla parked outside. That night, the family sat together at the kitchen table. No TV, no distractions, just gratitude. They talked about the future, about how life could finally move forward. For the first time in years, Marcus felt like he had a roadmap again. When the kids went to bed, Alicia turned to him and whispered, "You know what I think?" "What?" "I think that sometimes the universe tests us, just to see how much we can handle before sending us a miracle." Marcus smiled, his eyes glistening. Yeah. And sometimes, he said, glancing at the Tesla parked outside, that miracle shows up in a white Model X. The laughter that filled the room that night was pure, the kind that comes from relief, from love, and from a second chance, finally delivered. Little did Marcus know, this was only the beginning of his new journey, one that would soon inspire thousands and prove that even in a world powered by machines and innovation, the most powerful engine of all is still the human heart. The weeks that followed felt like something out of a dream Marcus never wanted to wake up from. Each morning, he rose before dawn. The streets of Los Angeles were still half asleep when he slipped on his new Tesla uniform, clean, crisp, and marked with a logo that had once felt impossibly out of reach. He'd step outside, keys in hand, and there it was, the white Tesla Model 3 waiting quietly in the driveway, like a symbol of everything that had changed. As the electric hum of the car filled the air, Marcus would glance in the rearview mirror, not just to check the road, but to remind himself of how far he'd come. When he arrived at Tesla's Los Angeles Training Center, the massive glass building gleamed in the sunlight. The first time he walked through those doors, he felt like a stranger stepping into the future. Robots glided across the floor, engineers moved with purpose, and massive screens displayed real-time data of vehicles being built and tested across the world. But more than the machines, what struck Marcus most was the energy, the sense of mission. Everyone there believed in something bigger than themselves. And now, so did he. The training wasn't easy. The days were long, filled with lectures on electrical systems, safety protocols, diagnostics, and hands-on practice. But Marcus was determined. He stayed late, taking notes, studying diagrams, and asking questions. He knew what it meant to be given a second chance, and he refused to waste it. One afternoon, one of the senior trainers, a woman named Ava, watched him repair a complex power unit. She raised an eyebrow and smiled. "You've got natural talent," she said. "Most people take weeks to get that right." Marcus chuckled, wiping sweat from his forehead. "Guess fixing that old car all those years paid off." Ava nodded. "You've got something you can't teach, patience and heart. That's what makes a real engineer." Those words stuck with him. Every evening, when he clocked out and drove home, Marcus felt a kind of pride he hadn't felt in years. He'd pull up to his apartment, and before he could even open the door, Jaden and Maya would run out shouting, "Daddy's home." They'd climb into his arms, showing him drawings of cars and rockets, saying, "We're going to work for Tesla too one day." Alicia would smile from the doorway, her face glowing. "Dinner's ready," she'd call out, her voice soft but full of joy. Their home, once filled with worry and silence, now overflowed with laughter and warmth. The old fear was gone. In its place was something powerful, hope. One Thursday afternoon, Marcus was finishing up his shift when he noticed something unusual. The usual buzz in the workshop had quieted. Conversations hushed. Then he saw why. Elon Musk himself was walking through the training facility. No entourage, no big announcement, just Elon, dressed in his usual black jacket and calm smile, greeting employees as he passed by. When he reached Marcus, he extended his hand with a grin. "Marcus, how's it going?" Marcus quickly stood up, wiping his hands on a cloth before shaking his. "Mr. Musk, wow, I wasn't expecting this." Elon laughed lightly. "Neither was your old car, I bet." They both chuckled, the moment breaking the tension in the room. Elon looked around, then back at Marcus. "So, how's training been?" Marcus smiled wide. "Honestly, sir, better than I could have ever dreamed. I still can't believe I'm actually here." Elon nodded, pleased. "You earned it. You didn't give up when things got hard. That's the kind of grit that builds Tesla." For a moment, Marcus didn't know what to say. I wanted to make my kids proud," he said softly. "Show them that no matter how bad things get, you can always come back." Elon's expression grew thoughtful. "That's exactly what the world needs more of. People who don't quit." He placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "Keep going, who knows? Maybe one day, you'll be leading your own team." Marcus chuckled, still in disbelief. From a broken-down car to building the future, it feels unreal. Elon smiled. That's the thing about the future. It starts when someone believes. Then, almost as quickly as he'd appeared, Elon moved on, greeting other employees. But Marcus just stood there, stunned, his heart pounding. For the first time in years, he didn't just feel like a worker. He felt like part of something much bigger, part of a mission. Word spread quickly around the training center about Marcus's story. The man who'd gone from fixing cars on the street to working at Tesla, thanks to a chance encounter with Elon Musk himself. Colleagues began to approach him, asking questions, seeking advice, even just offering a pat on the back. One new recruit said, "Man, your story keeps me going. I was about to quit last week, but then I heard about you." Marcus smiled. "Don't quit. You never know who's watching, or when your moment's coming." Slowly, his story began to circulate beyond Tesla, through social media, local news, and online videos. People were moved by it, not just because of Elon's generosity, but because of Marcus's determination. He wasn't a celebrity or a genius inventor, just an ordinary man who'd been given a chance and proved himself. Late one night, Marcus stood outside, looking up at the stars. His Tesla sat in the driveway, gleaming under the moonlight. He thought about that morning, the broken car, the heat, the hopelessness, and how one act of kindness had turned it all around. Alicia came out quietly, wrapping her arms around him. "You're doing it," she whispered. "You're really doing it." Marcus smiled softly. "Feels like I finally woke up." "You did," she said, "and you're showing everyone else how to wake up too." He looked back up at the night sky, the faint hum of city lights fading in the distance. "You know," he said, "I used to think people like me didn't get miracles." Alicia smiled. "Sometimes, you don't wait for a miracle," she said. "You become one." Marcus exhaled, a peaceful smile crossing his face. "Yeah," he said quietly. "Maybe that's the point." And as the stars glittered above, one thing became clear. This wasn't just a story about Elon Musk helping a family. It was about what happens when compassion meets opportunity, and when one man's belief in the future helps another rediscover his own. A few months later, something remarkable happened, something that would send Marcus's story around the world. It was a bright Monday morning when Marcus pulled into the Tesla service center, his uniform pressed and his name embroidered neatly on the chest. Marcus Taylor, Tesla service technician. He'd just finished another week of record performance, helping customers, training new recruits, and troubleshooting vehicles with the same focus and heart that had caught Elon's attention months before. But this morning was different. When he walked through the glass doors, his manager greeted him with a grin. "Hey Marcus, come with me. There's something you should see." Marcus followed him to the lot, where a photographer was setting up near the Tesla logo that glimmered on the wall. "Corporate wants to take some photos," his manager said. "They're doing a post about employee stories." Marcus didn't think much of it. He called Alicia, told her to bring the kids, and an hour later, the four of them stood together in front of the service center. Jaden and Maya, now looking a little older, wore bright smiles as they hugged their dad's legs. Alicia held Marcus's hand proudly. The photographer captured a few candid shots, Marcus kneeling beside his kids, the family laughing together, and finally, one perfect photo. Marcus standing in his Tesla uniform, his arm around Alicia, with the red Tesla sign shining behind him. A few days later, that photo appeared on Tesla's official social media accounts. The caption was simple but powerful. "Sometimes, the greatest engines we build aren't cars, they're people." Within hours, the post exploded online. Thousands of comments flooded in. People from every corner of the world shared it with captions like "Faith in Humanity Restored," and "This is what leadership looks like." The story spread across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and news outlets. Hashtags trended globally. Hashtag Tesla story, hashtag Elon cares, hashtag never give up. News anchors talked about it that night. Billionaire Elon Musk helps a struggling family get back on their feet and changes their lives forever. One headline read. Another said, Tesla's most powerful innovation might just be kindness. People shared their own stories of hardship and hope. Parents told their kids about Marcus when teaching them about resilience. Teachers discussed Elon's quote in classrooms. Motivational speakers mentioned it in seminars. And everywhere the story went, it carried one message. No matter who you are, you can make a difference. When reporters later asked Elon why he did it, he didn't talk about publicity or branding. He didn't make it about Tesla. He simply said, because success means nothing if you can't use it to lift others. That one sentence resonated deeply. It was shared millions of times, printed on posters, featured in magazines, and turned into a quote that inspired people far beyond the world of business. Elon didn't need to say anything else, because his actions had already said it all. Back at the service center, Marcus's life kept evolving. Within a year, he became one of Tesla's top technicians, known not just for his skill, but for his empathy. He began mentoring new recruits, especially those who came from rough backgrounds or who doubted themselves. He told them his story not to boast, but to remind them that change is always possible. Doesn't matter where you start, he'd tell them with a smile. What matters is who believes in you, and that you never stop believing in yourself. Under his mentorship, several young technicians rose through the ranks quickly. Some came from neighborhoods where opportunities were scarce. Some had nearly given up before walking through Tesla's doors. But Marcus became their proof that second chances were real. Even Elon heard about it. During one of his visits, he personally congratulated Marcus again, this time calling him a leader who builds others, not just cars. The impact of that one encounter reached far beyond California. In South Africa, a group of young engineers started a scholarship fund in Marcus's name to help low-income students learn EV technology. In Detroit, a nonprofit used his story in a campaign encouraging automotive companies to hire overlooked workers. Even in schools, teachers showed kids the viral Tesla post and said, "See, this is what kindness can do." Marcus had become a symbol, not of fame or wealth, but of hope. And what made his story so powerful was that it had started from something simple: a broken car, a tired man, and one person who decided to stop and care. Months after the post went viral, Marcus sat with his family at the same little diner where Alicia used to work double shifts. But this time, things were different. The kids were laughing over fries, the waitress greeted them by name, and on the wall above the counter was a framed newspaper clipping. It was the Tesla photo, Marcus, Alicia, and the kids, with the caption, "The family that Elon Musk helped." Marcus chuckled softly, sipping his coffee. "Can you believe that's US?" he said. Alicia smiled. "I can now." He looked out the window, watching a white Tesla glide past on the street. The sight still made him smile. "It's crazy," he said. "One small act, and everything changed." Alicia placed her hand over his. "That's the thing about kindness," she said. "It doesn't end where it starts. It keeps moving, person to person." Marcus nodded, his voice low but full of meaning. "Guess that's the real autopilot, the one that guides hearts." They both laughed, and in that laughter was something unshakable gratitude. That night, Elon Musk tweeted a photo of a sunset over Los Angeles with just one line: "The future runs on more than electricity. It runs on empathy." It got over 15 million likes. Somewhere in the city, a white Tesla Model X rolled quietly down a familiar street. The same one that had stopped months earlier for a struggling family. A moment that had rewritten not just their lives, but inspired millions. Because sometimes, miracles don't fall from the sky. They're not lightning bolts or lottery wins. They're simply moments when one person chooses to care. And when that happens, when compassion meets opportunity, the ripple doesn't end with one family. It spreads, touching lives, sparking hope, and reminding the world that the smallest gesture can build the biggest change. And that, in the end, is what truly drives humanity forward. What started as a simple act of kindness turned into a story that inspired millions. Elon Musk didn't just fix a car that day. He rebuilt a family's future. Remember, it doesn't take billions to change someone's life. Just a little heart and the courage to care. If this story touched you, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss another inspiring story like this one. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep believing that kindness still drives the world forward.